Okay, so we all want to work on our health. We want to be healthier, especially nowadays when we're trying to help our body be the most efficient it can be and be able to fight off all the types of things that are around us. We want to make sure that what we're putting in our body is helping our body and not hurting it. We're told continually that we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, and we're told we need to drink more water, but that creates some problems for us. So 3 questions. Why? Why do we have to eat more fruits and vegetables, and why do we need more water? Well, one thing is we need the nutrients. We need all those nutrients to make our body be able to work at its peak performance. We need more water. We've got to stay hydrated. It helps our tissues work better, and it helps the nutrients be able to flow into the places that they're needed. So we know that this is true, but then it also creates a situation, okay, so what kinds of things do we really need? You know, how much do we need to eat? What kinds of things do we need to eat? How much water do we need? You know, what kind of water do we drink? Those are all questions that we have and that we're trying to get to the bottom of. And then how do we go about this? What do we do? How do we know what's working? How do we know what we're adding? Is it helping or hurting? You know, the only way you really know is to test, and we're really advocates of testing. Certainly there are medical tests that we run, but are there daily or tests that can be simple and inexpensive and run more often? One of the things that's been brought to the attention of our family, one of the things that we do is we use pH testing. And we do pH testing both on ourselves and on some of the things that we put in our body daily. It's easy to do, it doesn't cost much, it just takes a second. And really it just helps us determine, are the things that we're putting in our body that day, are they gonna help us, or are they gonna hurt our body and our ability to be better and be healthier? So what is pH? I don't know if you can think back to your science or your chemistry courses. If you remember, pH measures in a range. It's either the acidic range, or things are either acidic or they're alkaline. And for those of us that are a lot older, the alkaline part was actually called the base. Things were either an acid or a base. The neutral, or right in the middle of that range, is really what's optimal for your body. So a 4 or a 5 is a very acidic level. A 9 or a 10 is a very alkaline or base level, and then a 7 or somewhere around like 6.8 to 7.2 or 7.5 is optimal. And so what you'd like to do ideally is you'd like to have things put in your body that would help your body try to hit that range. Another example that you might think about is if you can think about going back to taking care of a swimming pool. When you take care of a swimming pool, it has to have certain chemicals in it. And if you've seen somebody test that swimming pool to keep the levels safe so that the water's healthy and it's not going to have any harmful bacteria or agents in it, they use these small strips just like we're using here, and they measure specific levels of the chemicals in the pool. It's the same thing that you're measuring with the pH in the body. We're just measuring different things. One thing I'd like to caution you about, if you go to your doctor and you say, well, my pH is great, I scored a 7 today on my pH, they're probably not gonna, unless you're seeing a complimentary MD, they're probably not gonna use this system, at least not right now. What an MD will run on you is a blood pH, and it's interesting because you could score a 7, which would be neutral, would be ideal in the morning from the things that you've eaten or drinks that you've had. You could score a 7 and you could go into a doctor's office, they could run a blood level on you and you might be a 4 or 5. The question that we're trying to determine is, can we use a really simple, easy, inexpensive device like this? Can we test ourselves every day? Can we try to keep what we don't know is if we can keep ourselves over time more alkaline or more neutral, does that equate to making a change in our pH blood level? One of the reasons we're concerned about that, for instance, cancer patients, very often when you run a blood pH level on them, they may be a 4 or 5, or maybe even, a low 6. The question is, has anybody studied, or can we make a difference using this simple test? This test alone is not a test that you can use over time, but if you do it every day and you're actually using it as a way to change your behavior, does that equate to a blood change, and does that help you make that permanent change in your body? And we would hope that we could do that. Don't know for sure, we don't have the answer to that, but we'd like to study that, and we'd like to see if anybody's interested in being a test subject. Let us know. We'd like to see if you're using this. We'd like to see if what sorts of results that you get. Okay, so the first thing you do is you test yourself. These little strips are designed to be used either with urine or saliva. I usually just use saliva. The next thing would be to test water or things that you're drinking or eating, but we'll do that in a minute. So I'm going to test myself first. You can see this isn't hard. And let's put this down and we'll see where I am. And then we're going to compare and see which one that looks closest to. It looks like it's in between 6.0 and 6.5. Okay? Well, let's actually start testing. So the first water that we're going to test is Desante. I think a lot of people actually use Desante, drink it. The next one is Aquafina. Next is Ozarka. It says it's spring water. The next one is Smart Water. Fiji water, which supposedly is bottled at the source and has all kinds of good minerals. I'm sorry, I should have done this. This is tap water. That's right out of the San Antonio water system. This is Crazy Water, which is a mineral water that comes from Mineral Wells, Texas. And this is a green drink. We'll just wait a minute and see which ones of these turn more alkaline or test more alkaline. As you can see, they're already changing, and actually one of these things is very interesting to me. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you can see probably Ozarka, Aquafina, and Desante are the 3 bottled waters that most people use. And you can see they're all, I'll actually put the guide here. If you compare, they're pretty acidic. So I would say if we're comparing, that's acidic. This one, they're all in the 5 range. These 3 are all in the 5 range. Then Smart Water, you would think that Smart Water would be better, and it's still in the acidic range. Okay, now when you get to Fiji water, that they say they bottle it at the source and they're all natural minerals in it, it's interesting. If we pick it up, and that's actually 7.5. So that's more on the alkaline scale. Now, San Antonio tap water. I believe there's some sort of regulation that states that city tap water actually has to be in a range of pH like it is. So that would have been expected. There are some other things that go with your city water that may be good things or not good things, but as far as alkalinity and acidity, it is right in the middle. Then your crazy water, which is actually coming from a spring in Mineral Wells, Texas, that is 8.5.
Wow.
This actually comes in 4 levels of minerals. That sounds great. You have to be careful when you're using an over-alkalinized water. You have to be careful that you don't drink that within 2 hours of when you eat. Because when you drink a lot of water, and if it's alkaline, then you're taking up the acidity in the stomach, and if you eat, you don't have those enzymes that you need and the things you need in the stomach to digest your food. So you just have to be careful that you don't drink this kind of water too close to when you eat. The thing that surprised me the most is the green drink that was supposed to have been very alkaline. I'm super surprised. I have never tested one of these particular ones. That looks like that's about 5.1. That's our 5.3, or maybe that's 5.5. I'm super surprised about that. Not sure why that is. We'll have to look at the ingredients and think about maybe why that is, but it's good to know, because if you're trying to do something healthy for yourself and you're paying as much as you pay for one of those drinks, it might be something you might want to evaluate. Maybe you don't need to spend that money, and maybe you don't need to go to that expense. But anyway, that's our alkaline and acidity test, and that's it. Okay, now I'm going to use, this is an alkalinized water. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drink some of this and see if it makes any difference. Wait just a second. Makes a difference. Again, it's a temporary difference. It's not a permanent difference. But again, if I'm aware that I'm acidic and I drink an alkalinized water, will that over time, the more changes that I make, will that make a bigger difference? One thing that you need to know if you're using alkalinized water, you need to be very careful that you don't drink alkalinized water. You drink a neutral water, not an alkalinized water, except for after 2 hours after you've eaten, and you really shouldn't drink it right before you eat either. What happens with an alkalinized water is that it destroys the juices and the acids in your stomach that actually help you digest your food. So just remember that.